Hillary Clinton is in deep trouble. Will she go to jail? Donald Trump, he blew it when he responded to a question about Planned Parenthood. And ISIS is threatening to kill American servicemen in their homes in America. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
I think it will come as no surprise to any one of my viewers that the Justice Department has become politicized. All right? They're not involved in prosecutions that they should be involved in. And on the other hand, they're prosecuting people, spending time and money to prosecute people who they shouldn't be. I have a friend right now who is indicted for helping a girl get out of a lesbian couple home. All right? Another man is in jail on kidnapping charges. He didn't kidnap. The girl, if my memory is correct, the dad was a devout Christian and the mom went off the deep end and was with a lesbian, and the father said, no, we're not doing this. And the girl said, I want out of here. And so they got her out. And the social services was trying to force the girl back into to the lesbian thing. And they all finally said, no, we're done with this. And the girl said, please. So they got her away. So she's growing up happy. And she, because they helped her, one man is already sitting behind bars. He got over 2 years. And my friend, who was just tangential, just on the edge of the whole thing, thinking that he's doing God and this woman and this girl and this family a service, which he was, and the Justice Department has indicted him. So, think it through with me. So now Hillary has turned over her server. We don't know how many emails have been wiped off of it. You can watch this on the news ad nauseum right now because it's a big deal. It is a big deal. And probably the Justice Department is having to look at this to see if any crimes were committed. There's something in law called an unindicted co-conspirator or an unindicted person who they think committed a crime, but they just don't indict them. So they could have a finding that perhaps some criminal act was committed by Hillary, but they're not going to indict her. I've been hearing people on the radio and say, she's looking at jail time. Let me explain this. Hillary Clinton is not going to go to jail. You need to take that to the bank. Hillary Clinton is never going to be cuffed. Hillary Clinton is never going to spend 1 day behind bars. That's my prediction. Randall, what if she did it? What if she broke the law? What if she put national security at risk? I'll grant all of that. I'll grant all of it. That she broke the law. She knowingly broke the law. From everything that I've read and watched, it seems pretty clear that she did not treat top secret classified documents the way they are required by law to be treated. She's the former First Lady of the United States. It's not because she was Secretary of State that she won't go to jail. It's not because she was a U.S. Senator. There have been people high up in the government who were indicted. Dan Rostenkowski, some of you might remember him. He was a powerful figure in the U.S. House, and I think he controlled the Ways and Means Committee. Big spender, and he finally was indicted and served over a year in jail. So it happens. But a former First Lady, it's not going to happen. I don't care if she broke every law. I don't care if she confesses. Maybe, ultimately, if it ruins her career, if it becomes such a big deal, she could plead guilty or no contest or nolo contendere. There's all these different words that you can use. No contest means I'm not going to contest the charges, or nolo contendere. Or there's another one, I can't remember the name of it, because I've pled it before, where the defendant just stands mute and doesn't plead innocence or guilty, and the judge enters a finding or a plea, and then it's over. So who knows if she did break the law and she has to plead to some misdemeanor or no contest, and she's given probation for 6 months or any number of things, but she's not going to jail. The United States temperament is not going to stand for a former first lady to go to jail. And let everyone know that if you're a regular watcher of this show, I despised the Clinton presidency, and I think the Clintons are bad people. But she ain't going to jail, friend. Friend, we are in the middle of producing a 14-part epic television series called What Would Mohammed Do?, explaining Islam and ISIS to the West. I have a master's degree in international terrorism, and I have studied ancient Islamic texts for over a decade. And we are going to do a very paced and a very scholarly look at Muhammad's life and see the connection of his life to today's headlines. Well, we need your help on 3 levels. 1, we need help with some security measures. 2, we need help with some gear for the studio. And 3, we need help with some computers. I'm inviting you to go to the GoFundMe site that you see on the screen and watch the pilot for episode 1. You'll get a feel for what it's going to be, and I promise you, you're going to be excited. You'll be challenged, and you're going to want your friends to see it. And then after you've seen it, give what you can to help us with this project. Thank you. Policy matters. All right? Policy matters. Now, we're going to talk about Donald Trump in a second, but I voted for President Reagan. My first vote that I cast in 1980, I'm dating myself. I know I look like I'm 45, but I'm a little older than that. My first vote was for Ronald Reagan. And he said, I'm pro-life. We have to rein in Russia. We have to make America strong. We're the city on the hill. He was very inspirational. Jimmy Carter was a policy wonk. And by the way, pray for the former president that he gets his soul right with God. He has cancer, as it is being reported, and he's almost 90 years old or 90 years old. So he's not in good health right now. And he claims to be a Christian. He's baptized, reads the scriptures, but he supports the murder of babies. Okay? And he campaigned on the murder of babies. And that puts him in great danger with the Almighty. But back to Reagan. Reagan inspired people. And so when he was running, people would mock him and say he's not smart, or he, heaven forbid, he has control over nuclear weapons because we're going to have a nuclear war with Russia if he gets elected, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that he was certainly the greatest president in the last half of the 20th century. So, but policy matters, all right? And Donald Trump is inspirational. He's touching nerves with people. But again, policy matters, and he blew it with Planned Parenthood. His answer, he answered Sean Hannity, and he did some interview on CNN where he said, look, I'm against what they do with abortion, but they do other good things for women, and I've got Republican women telling me that they do good things for women, and maybe we could use some kind of leverage against them. He's a businessman, so he's thinking, look, because he did say he would shut down the government over Planned Parenthood. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome. But then he says that, no, we don't want to take away all their money. We just don't want them doing abortions. And he also said his daughter is who is advising him on these matters. Well, we'll try and get through to the daughter. Hopefully somebody will get through to her and explain it a little bit better. Because number one, he clearly does not know, or at least didn't discuss it, that Planned Parenthood is in an ongoing cover-up of sexual crimes against minors. Think this through with me. Every time a pregnant 15-year-old goes into a Planned Parenthood, I don't care what state of the union, she is a walking crime scene. You understand? Every state in the union still has laws on the books against sexual activity depending on the age. Every state in the union. So when these girls go in who are pregnant, oftentimes with boyfriends that are over the age of 18 or over the age of 21, that girl is a walking crime scene. And they are required by law to go to the authorities. And they're not. They're covering up what Planned Parenthood is doing. I don't think Trump knows this. Maybe he does, and he's turned, looking the other way. This is not going to play out well for him. I can promise you that. Ben Carson, on the other hand, said the truth about Planned Parenthood. It was really funny. In fact, let's put the quote up on the screen. I want to read it and get it right. He said, well, maybe I'm not objective when it comes to Planned Parenthood, but I know who Margaret Sanger is, and I know that she believed in eugenics and that she was not particularly enamored with black people. And one of the reasons that you find most of their clinics in black neighborhoods is so that you can find the way to control that population. And I think people should go back and read about Margaret Sanger, who founded this place. A woman who Hillary Clinton, by the way, says she admires. Look and see what people in Nazi Germany thought of her. He's right. You can read Killer Angel, read the book Grand Illusions. Both books are by George Grant. In my book, Accessory to Murder, I have a fairly lengthy section on Margaret Sanger. She was an evil woman. She really wanted to decrease the black population. She called many people, including blacks, human weeds, okay? And she did hang out with people that were Nazis and were into the eugenics movement. He knows his stuff. He was right. Donald Trump, not so much. Mike Huckabee said, if I become president, I'm going to try them criminally. Go, Governor Huckabee. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas referred to John Locke twice in his dissent in the Obergefell decision. John Locke is referred to as the philosopher of American liberty. He was a genius, and he not only believed in natural law, but he believed in revealed law, the Word of God, the law of God. And he is one of the two most influential philosophers on the founders of this republic. We are offering you this book, and I'm going to give you my book as well, The Sword. The Sword, the subtitle is The Blessing of Righteous Government and the Overthrow of Tyrants. It looks at what is the legitimate purpose of government and when is it our right to overthrow government like they did with the Declaration of Independence. We will send you these two books if you simply pay for the shipping and handling, $8, and then give whatever else you want. And by the way, the $8 doesn't cover our cost, but if that's all you can afford, we'll send them to you for the $8. God bless you. So Governor Huckabee, candidate for president, says that if he becomes president, he would have the Justice Department criminally prosecute Planned Parenthood. One of the things that Donald Trump has done is he's opened up the middle. He's shown that voters are so enraged against immigration, against the political power base in Washington, D.C., the big money people in Washington, D.C., and we don't trust the political prognosticators and the advisors. Trump blew a hole in all that. So it gives permission to Mike Huckabee to say something that he might not have said 6 months ago. I don't know that Huckabee would have said 6 months ago that he would use the Justice Department to criminally prosecute Planned Parenthood. Maybe he would, I don't know. But one of the benefits of Trump's candidacy thus far is he has shown that Americans are sick of political correctness. Sick of it. And they're sick of politically correct sound bites. Now, here's Trump's problem. As I've been watching this man carefully, and the first time he sounded like a politician was when he went after Jeb Bush because of Jeb Bush's comments about defunding Planned Parenthood. And he misspoke when he talked about we don't need $500 million for women's health care. I think what he meant to say was for that kind of women's health care, which is not really health care at all right? however he said it, Bush blew it, but now Trump is going after Bush. And it just seems so shallow. When Trump is doing it, it seems so stilted. Like now, Trump, don't play the political game. Don't, you've been misquoted enough and don't go there. But anyway, if Trump begins to go down, his voters are not going to go to Jeb Bush. They're not. They're going to go to insurgent candidates, to outsiders, to Ted Cruz, to Carly Fiorina, to Ben Carson, maybe to Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee had a very large evangelical following when he ran and did quite well, but he was not a good fundraiser. So maybe Huckabee, if he really wants to be president, is going to just step back and take a play out of the Donald Trump playbook and start to be a little on the outlandish side. You might remember that Huckabee was a Baptist preacher years ago. Governor Huckabee, let that closet preacher come out. Let that closet maniac come out to play in the political arena. That's what he needs to do. Just throw down. I mean, you see what's happening with Trump. And I would venture to guess that Mike Huckabee is going to have more substance than Donald Trump. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Here's one other person I want to talk about really quickly, and then I got to get to ISIS in the next section, and that's John Kasich, governor of Ohio. He seemed to be a pretty conservative man when he was in the House years ago, had a pretty good reputation, but there were people even then that said, no, watch out for this guy. He said things that were a lie. Do not trust this man, okay? He believes in the oligarchy of the Supreme Court. He said, the Supreme Court has spoken. It's the law of the land concerning the Obergefell decision, the so-called homosexual marriage decision. This shows a complete lack of understanding about our Constitution and about the rule of law. And it shows someone who's either really unintelligent or really fearful. Because he should be saying this is outside of the rule of law. We should be discussing impeaching these judges. And I know that it's old news for some people. We've got the bread and circuses distracting us. But if you have not read the Obergefell decision, the dissents, particularly all 4 dissents, you need to. In my opinion, each of those justices, in one way or another, said that this was a criminal act and that it might lead to physical revolution. An actual shooting civil war of some kind. Read the opinions and you'll see for yourself, okay? That was, in many ways, the most ominous decision that the Supreme Court has ever given, with the possible exception of Roe versus Wade. So don't trust Kasich if he says that it's the law of the land because the Supreme Court spoke. No, when God speaks, that's the law of the land. The whole earth. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're gonna run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. The question regarding ISIS and threats towards Americans in this country it's a twofold question. Question number one is, what assets does ISIS have on the ground? Meaning, what people do they have that they have trained, who they know that they can issue an order that will be carried out? That's number one. And the other one is, who are they just randomly inspiring? The concept of the lone wolf. The man who beheaded that poor woman in Oklahoma was not under ISIS leadership, but he was being inspired by ISIS, okay? And he was being inspired by Muhammad. Never forget that, all right? Never forget that these Islamic terrorists, what we call Islamic terrorists, they really believe that what they're doing is right. They believe that they have been commissioned by God himself to do the things that they're doing. Because if Muhammad really was the prophet of God and did these things, which he did, and he is the best role model and example, which Muslims believe he is, well, by mimicking Muhammad and doing what he did, they're trying to be the best Muslims they can in the service of Allah. So they really believe that these are holy, righteous acts, and that if they die doing these things, that they are martyrs who will go to paradise, okay? With all the virgins and all this stuff. It's there, all right? It is true. So ISIS, a member, put that screenshot up for me, would you? The hacking division, look at that. Islamic State hacking division. So this person is in a text interview with somebody from the Blaze. What's that guy's name who runs that? He's got his own team. Yeah, Glenn Beck. I apologize. Somebody from Glenn Beck's organization, the Blaze, is interviewing somebody from the hacking division. And then they're saying that we're going to have reprisals for what you're doing to us. Now put up that screen where they give the actual threat. So there you see it. That they intend, or they say, that they're going to behead American military personnel and politicians in their homes. Now, you know, the question is, do they have the assets on the ground to do that? Are they putting people through the Mexican border into America? They clearly have been able to find the addresses of some American military personnel. All right? Pamela Geller up in New York City, she's now under 24-hour-a-day police protection because ISIS said, you're going to die. We are going to kill you. So there's just not enough cops to go around. All right? There's just not enough cops to go around. We'll see what happens. You know, American military personnel, if I were them, I would make sure that my wife was armed inside the house, that they were armed inside their own home. What else can you do? You're certainly not going to dial 911 and have a policeman come in time to save you. You understand that? I want to finish up on this and ask you for your prayers and just invite you to think. We've been working so hard on a scholarly paced series called What Would Muhammad Do? Lone Wolves, ISIS, and Islam Explained to the West. Okay? I have a master's degree in international terrorism. I've learned how to let Islam speak for itself, all right, with its own vocabulary. And the stories of some of these martyrs, Muhammad's companions, right, Muhammad's immediate friends, companions, the stories of them killing and being killed are like the book of Acts for a Christian, okay? And these stories of their heroism, of them killing and being killed, these stories are recounted over and over again, just like the book of Acts is recounted over and over again. Their stories are recounted over and over again in mosques all across America, 1,200 mosques all across America. And not to mention Islamic culture centers, okay? This narrative, this storyline that they see themselves in regarding Muhammad and his immediate companions, it's there. And somebody can read that stuff, like the Chattanooga shooter, and can just be inspired to be a good Muslim, follow Muhammad's example, and start killing for the sake of Islam.